everything is a lot of things are conflict. I feel like with avoidance,
Well, I
or
think
that's just me.
if you're the type of person who would rather not say anything
Hmm.
in a conflict, then that's protection.
Right.
Because I
Right.
know me, I'm the type of person I'll say anything. I will say anything, and then
Hmm.
I don't hold a grudge, so I'll say anything and be like, "You hungry?" And I'll
Hmm.
say some shit, and the person will be like, "I can't believe you said this to me," and they hurt, like they
Hmm.
hurt for real. And then I'm sitting there like, "What's wrong with you?" But now I know, you know what? Let me simmer on what you talk about and give me a minute. Let me go process this.
Hmm.
But that's so I don't say something.
Yeah, I think both the avoidant attachment styles. I think that a lot of it is protection, is out of
Mm-hmm.
protection. Um, yeah. So, and that's the basis of it. Them trying to protect themselves from whatever that it may be. And I say whatever it is because I'm not avoidant. So, but Crimson is.
Yes.
Good morning, Crimson.
Good
Good
morning. Hold on. Something's going on. I can't hear you. Crimson, you there?
here. Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, we can hear
Oh, okay, cool.
you. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good.
That's
Just
good. That's
chilling.
good. That's good. So, I mean, we were talking about the different attachment styles, but I mean, I kind of want to save the avoidant attachment style for that particular day, y'all. Because right now, I mean, today, the anxious attachment style, I think it's real heavy in our communities. A lot of us have that type of attachment, being
Okay,
anxious.
so what does anxious attachment, loving hard, loving scared. So what is anxious attachment?
Loving hard or loving scared, meaning like they say some of the best lovers are anxious attachment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But are they loving you because they genuinely love you, or they're loving you because they're fearful of losing you? Like, are they so pressed over you because they're afraid of losing you? Is it a
Okay, like
fear?
Carrie Bradshaw. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, like, so for instance, if usually an anxious attachment and avoidant, they usually seem to pair up in a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the anxious attachment is nine times more than likely chasing after the avoidant. And the avoidance just running, right? They're like, okay, leave me alone. But the anxious attachment is like, well, why you won't talk to me? I need you to talk to me now. Let's resolve this. So they call in the phone. They texting rapidly. They need a lot of attention. In other words, some people may even call it smothering or
Mm-hmm.
clingy. So that's the ancient attachment style. Ancient anxious
Okay,
attachment
so
style.
they clingy. I got you. Okay.
Right. So the question is it a deep love or a deep fear of abandonment?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what
One
we're
and
going to talk
together. I don't
about.
feel like it's one or the other.
You said it's together.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's a way it can be separate.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the fact of unless you don't understand how you're actually feeling and you're mistaking how you feel with a different like feeling. Like there's a difference between romantic love and loving someone and wanting to build a future with them,
Mm-hmm.
and a deep platonic love as in I view you as like a sibling or like family, and sometimes those can get crossed
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people don't have like the experience of deep platonic love that's not biological.
Mm-hmm.
So that can get mixed in as well, to where that's separate, to where it would be, is it fear of abandonment? Like I used to date um my friend who I call my sister now. She calls me her sibling and everything. So we
Mm-hmm.
view each other as siblings. We dated for about 4 years because neither one of us wanted to bring up the fact that we didn't see a future together. We didn't see us marrying each other or anything like that, or having a family.
Mm-hmm.
But we also, neither of
Hey,
us could
Shy.
view a future without the other either.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a conversation we had to have. And of course, we were younger then as well. I'm 23, I'll be 24 in December. And me and her were like, we were in high school. Okay. We dated like throughout our whole high school years and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So we had that conversation and we realized, yes, we do want to stay in each other's life. It's not
Thank
hard
you.
feelings or anything,
Big,
it's just a different type of
big
love.
so. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely want to get in, and thank you for sharing that. And I definitely wanted you still a baby that was mature. Yeah, Crimson is very mature. We had a very good discussion yesterday.
I've
Um,
lived through multiple lifetimes. I swear to God, in this lifetime alone, there's so much stuff. I'm like, dude,
yeah,
I should have experienced this at like 80, not at like 15. Leave me
right,
alone, life. I want it to be boring for now.
right,
Please.
right, right, right.
No, this is
Look,
good. This
it
this is
is.
you setting yourself up for later on. You already learning the lessons you need to learn. This is good.
Mm-hmm.
This is real
You
good.
know. So today we're going to talk about. I'm sorry. Today we're going to talk about the attachment style that feels deeply. Everything they feel everything deeply. Um, yeah. Big sis say your voice is mature too. Yeah. Um, they feel everything deeply, overthink maybe text or something that is said, and they just fear a lot of times they fear of being left, um,
Oh,
or ghosted. Good morning, brother. Is that Boucher? Boucher? I think that's what that is. Grand rising to you. Welcome in. Um, so that's anxious attachment. Overthinking, they fall real hard, in the fear of being left. So that's why I asked the question, is it deep love or is it a deep fear
They
of
kind of go
abandonment?
together. With romantic relationships, those aren't really separate. You love
Yeah.
hard and then you fear the abandonment because of how much you love and care about that person. That's why you fear losing them.
But I would think that would be anybody, just not an anxious attachment.
No, yeah,
no.
of course. And a lot of the attachment styles are deeply rooted in like the personality and biology of just human beings in general. A lot of them
Hmm.
share like the
Okay.
different, I guess, uh symptoms. I can't think of the right word for it, but like the
Hmm.
different like characteristics, a lot of them overlap with each other because again, it's just humans. Like
Hey, savvy. Hmm.
it's about you caring about people and about how you process those emotions and how you react to those emotions as well. And a lot of
Hmm.
that, there's only like a certain amount of ways like a
Hey,
human can
Derek.
react to an emotion.
Hmm.
There's only a certain amount of ways. So obviously they're going to overlap because there's billions, billions of humans on Earth and
Hmm.
have been in existence trillions. So a lot of the behaviors and stuff, they're going to overlap. It's just part of being human.
Yeah. And D, you said that it's not um a lot of the attachment styles that fear of losing their person.
Mm-mm.
No,
I think if
of
you
course
are
not the
in
avoidant,
if you
but
are I think I like how we try to put things in boxes, but things always overlap. It's like a Venn diagram. And so
okay.
what ends up happening is, but I think if you actually do love a person, you will always be in fear of losing that person. That's part of loving
Hmm.
that person, right? You don't want them to go away. Even if it's by choice, by accident, by incident, you don't want them to go away. So you're going to always have that small fear in the back of your mind, right?
Hmm.
But I think
Hey, Christian.
I don't know. I guess it just depends on what you've seen. I am myself. I am a out of sight, out of mind type of person. You can't talk to me for 2 days. Keep going.
Hey,
You
Nafi.
mad at me for 3 days and we can't speak? Keep going. How many days can you
Mm.
do? Keep going. But that's just me. But I'm also the type of person, if you tell me you can't talk about it right now, I will respect it and leave it alone. And I'll wait for you to
Okay.
get it together. Because I know that there are people who, depends on, how you're raised, what you've been around, confrontation
Hmm.
is diabolical to them. And it could be something as simple as we don't agree. But because
Mm-hmm.
they've dealt with so much, the disagreement turns into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, we just having a disagreement. It's not that serious. But to them, everything is that serious. And so you're like,
Yeah.
okay. You give people a measure of grace depending on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
me myself,
You
mm-mm.
gotta, you gotta meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
Basically, you gotta meet them
And
where they're at.
yeah, and I wanna jump in the comments right quick. Big Sil said, "Damn, 2 days." So 2 days, D, that was to you when you said 2 days. Basically, if you don't hear from a person in 2 days, you like, okay, cool, we good. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I give people a certain amount of time. I actually put them in my head. I put them on a time frame of when to reach out, and if they don't reach out by that time, I kind of just done with
Baby, the
it.
way my ADHD is set up, you mess around and get out of there. You want to? You gonna you you mess around? You want to? Listen. I'll replace you with a cooking class. You gonna be in there talking about
You
what's wrong
know,
with you?
that's what I'm
Oh
saying.
shoot.
Like, and I go, but see, like me as an anxious attachment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I go. I will try to communicate throughout the day. I'll probably hit you up like several times throughout the day, especially if you don't respond. I'm able to give it some time, some space in between, but I
No,
will
ma'am.
text, ask how you doing, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
don't respond by
Hey,
afternoon, it's
Jay to
like
the down
clockwork.
there.
Hey
Mm-mm.
Jay, welcome
But see, but
in.
this is also part of me being strict over here.
But see, yeah, so
Listen. You can be mad all you want to. You better figure it out. If you have
right.
found a way not to speak to me for the day, keep going. Keep
So
going.
my question is, would that be an ancient attachment?
Mm-mm. It's more of a out of sight, out of mind. You keep playing, we keep playing. Listen, we can play
No,
the
because
silent game forever.
Crimson brought us something yesterday that said something about, it's called, what did you call it again, Crimson? It's called when you basically put them on punishment or something. The ancient attachment have a way of putting it. Crimson, what
What, the
was the term
silent
you
treatment?
use?
Like the
Uh,
silent treatment?
you have a choice of either are you going to solve your problem together or are you gonna fight?
No,
Like
not that.
you can't.
Not that. It wasn't that. You
What are
called
you talking
it.
about when you were talking about me and my partner sitting on the couch and then
Yeah, it's a word for it though. Or was it Amy that brought that up? It was a P word. I can't remember it.
punishment? It was
Like a
punishment.
punishment.
Right, because
Yeah,
if I've had my space, right, and you agreed to let me have that space, and I come back and I'm ready to talk, and then you kind of throw a fit and go, "No, I don't want to talk. You didn't want to talk."
you shut
Now
down.
that's you're punishing because at that point, right, if you wanted to fight, why don't you just keep going at that point? Why'd you let me have space if you just wanted to fight? At that point, just fight, right? Like if you're gonna let me have
Tit
my
for
space
tat.
and tell me
Hmm.
I can have that space, then you need to follow you need to like let me have that space and you can't punish me for that because you agreed to let me have it. That's like if I agree to give you $10, you don't have to
Hmm.
pay it back. I'm not loaning you this $10. We are agreeing I'm giving it to you. It's a gift, right?
Hmm.
And then you go and spend that $10. How is it fair for me to get angry at you for spending that $10 when I told you it's a gift? You don't have to pay me back. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah, but money is two different things.
It's the
Money,
principle,
money,
though.
money is
It's not
money.
about the money. It's about the
It's
Money
not
is
about.
principle.
It's
money.
the principle.
Look, money is
I
money.
gave
No,
you
no, it's not the
something.
principle.
You
It's
are
like it's
allowing. You are
but
allowing
but
me.
how are you controlling my reaction to you?
It's not about control.
It
It is
is
about. It's
because
about
you're
respect.
calling it
Hold on, D.
punishment.
Let
No,
him
it's
talk.
not
Let him
about
talk. Let him
respect.
talk. Let him
It's
talk.
it's about respect because if you have agreed, right? If I've communicated, hey, I need space. I need to
Yeah.
process this. That's communication, right? And you agree to give me that space. And
Hmm.
then when I come back and I tell you
Mhm.
I'm ready to talk. We can talk about it now. I've processed it. I'm. We can talk about it now. If you're
Mhm.
not ready to communicate, hey, now that I've thought about it, I think I need some more time to process it. I'm not ready to talk. That's fine. But you can't
Mhm.
Hmm.
sit there and snap back with, oh, now you want to talk. No,
Why
don't be
not?
giving me
Well, the
attitude
thing
like that.
is,
That's
and
Why
that's
not?
I
punishing
think
me.
Crimson, the where D is coming from is that you ever heard of that term like, okay, you treat me how you treat me, but don't get mad at how I respond. I
Right.
think,
Right.
but hold on, D, that's true. But this is the thing. Something else we talked about in these type of dynamics is grace, because we're understanding that with attachment styles, it comes from certain one traumas, or like for instance, my attachment style. I'm gonna give you an example, and I'm being very transparent here. My attachment style is the way it is because, for example, I didn't have many friends growing up. People was my friend and then they wasn't. So it was like, and then I'm left to didn't understand why. Like a person need an explanation. I'm that person. I need an explanation of why we not friends anymore. So I think as I got older, now I see everybody in that lens in a sense. So now I'm afraid that everybody is going to leave me. So it does come, it stems from some type of trauma. A lot of times, it could be in childhood, but then we develop also traumas as adults as well. It's unfair to always want the spouse to be the big person. It is unfair. And that's why we're having this discussion, because we talk about grace. And Crimson
Yeah,
actually
but
shared yesterday how he was able to make his relationship work, him and his partner, because
okay,
they
but at
have
the
an
same
understanding. His
time,
partner is an anxious attachment and he's an avoidant.
that's cool. But grace runs out. And in these
Yeah, for
type of
some people.
situations, and I'm be perfectly honest, in these type of situations, if you're with a person who never can have the hard discussion while it's happening, and you always need a minute to decompress, compress, process it, and all the s's and do all that stuff, and then you
Girl.
come back to the person and now you ready to talk. After a while, grace runs out,
Hey,
because now the
yeah.
other person who was in the fray with you has had
Hmm.
time to think about it themselves, and they
That's
were
true.
willing at that moment to have the conversation. It might have been hard, but they was willing to talk. And now, because you've got to run away for a little while, now you're ready. They also are supposed to be ready. Sometimes that don't be the case,
Yeah, it don't.
and
Sometimes
depending
it
on the
don't.
person, and sometimes it just don't. And then to say, well, it's punishment. No, it's not punishment. It's I'm giving you what I got right now. And this is what I have right now. I don't have it in me to have the conversation with you, especially if you're
Hmm.
the type of person who is a wordsmith. You want to control how I say what I say as opposed to what I'm saying, because we
I
basically said the same thing. If I tell you I can't talk to you right now, I don't want to talk to you right now because you didn't want to talk to me, that's the exact same thing as saying I'm not ready to talk to you right now.
But hold on. Now, the thing is, the difference is with an anxious attachment. A lot of anxious attachment, they hear things differently. Hey, Big G, welcome in.
And,
Thank you
and,
for the
and,
heart
and if
me.
you know you
They,
heard it differently, that's something you need to work out.
so
It
and
is.
but that's
Mm-mm.
but that's what
Mm-mm.
that's where Crimson is coming from, is that both parties take a pause. See, the thing is, ancient attachments, you could say, for instance, let me give a good example. You could just say right now, they say, what you doing? Can I come over? Nah, I don't really feel like company right now. Well, why you don't feel like company? But this is the ancient attachment. They hear, I don't want to deal with you. They hear something totally different in their head.
And
I
I'm
don't want to be
sorry,
bothered with
and
you.
I'm
So
sorry about that. But that's something that
that's
they need to work out. It is not up to your partner to say it in such
hmm
a way that you can hear it. You know that that's not what they said. You know that that's not what they said. But
it's called
if that's what you
internalizing.
choose to hear, that's on
Hmm.
you. Because after
It,
a while, let's call the thing a thing. You have to be responsible for yourself. It is not your partner's job to
hmm
hold your hand through every little thing to make sure you heard it the exact way that you needed to hear it, so that you're not triggered. Come on now, we grown.
So let me ask. I want to ask the chat something, right? Who in the chat, and just put Y for yes and N for no. When you get a text message, you know how some people, they read the text message, they read it in their own voice, or how they think that they're here, how it's being said. Do you overthink text messages? Yes or no? And this is just me seeing something right quick. Okay. I see a lot of no's. I see a couple yeses. All right.
I feel like there's a misunderstanding, miscommunication here
Mm-hmm.
because
They
it's I'm not
Hmm.
sitting there saying it goes all on one partner. Okay, you need communication in your relationship. It's not all about on one, not
Both
all on the
ways.
other. The thing is, you need to communicate. You need to work together and you need to meet each other on where each other is at. You can't sit there and expect things to happen. All right. You can't sit there and just be like, oh, you need to figure it out by yourself. You partners, are you not? Are you wanting to
Hmm.
sit there and it be you versus them, or is it you two versus the problem?
Well, it
And
can't be that
it
we're
sounds
partners
like it's
now
you're
when the
wanting
That's
person
it
D.
to
Let him
be
decided that
finish.
they're
you
Let him
not
versus
finish.
ready.
D.
it's
D.
wanting it to
You can't
be
overtalk.
Okay, I'm
you're
sorry.
wanting it to be you versus your partner versus the problem. Okay, when I am in that state to where I need to walk away, I need a minute, it's because my emotions are high. Okay, what am I
Mhm.
going to process in that conversation? It's a big conversation, right? I can give an example of me and my partner, we have an issue with his family. His family is not great, I don't like them, they don't like me, yada whoop de doop de doo. Okay, the thing is though, in order for us to get past that, that could have made or broke our relationship, right? We got so close to separating because of that instance. And when we had that conversation, I was upset, I was mad, and if I hadn't taken the time to step back and process my emotions, process what I actually wanted out of the conversation, we would have just been sitting there fighting all night. We would have been insulting each other. We wouldn't have gotten anywhere. We would have just been sitting there running in circles. Right? If I can't sit there and process what is being said
Mhm.
to me, I'm not I'm not thinking about what's going on. I'm sitting there, I'm reacting. I'm not processing anything. You're not going to
Mhm.
get anywhere if you're sitting there just reacting to your emotions in the words.
Oh,
I need
so
time to
that's
sit there.
okay.
I need time to think about what I'm feeling. I need time to understand what is going on because I my emotions are high, okay? And a lot of with avoidance is we avoid because we feel things very, very intensely to the
Hmm.
point that we don't understand what's going on.
So let
We
me let me raise my hand right quick. Pause for a second. So it goes both ways. So now we understand avoidance feel things intensely, and so does the anxious attachment. They feel things very intensely. So we both understand that both are feeling
right, and
intense
that's where
emotions.
communication comes in.
Yeah. So hold on 1 second. Now, this is for D. You have you ever heard of what is it? It's overstimulating. Some people get overstimulated very easily. And a lot of the times I would say the anxious attachment, I mean not the anxious attachment, the avoidant can get just like anybody else overstimulated. I think the difference is how they process what's happening in the moment. And a lot of people, they don't rather, some people would rather not say things that they don't want to or approach things in that moment. They'll rather take a step back and, like you say, process it.
Yeah,
And just
absolutely.
as
No, no,
that
no. That's
person
I wasn't
deserves the opportunity to process it,
right,
just
but
like
I
the ancient
wasn't.
attachment. Hmm.
But I wasn't arguing that part.
Okay.
What I was talking about is the reaction afterwards. What we
Oh,
had
the
said
okay.
was if the
Aftermath. Yeah.
person tells you and now you come back and say, okay, now I'm ready to talk, and they ain't ready to talk, now you're saying, oh, I'm being punished. No, you're not. Because when
No,
that
that's
Hmm.
person is
not what
ready
I
to
was
talk to you, hold
saying.
on, let me finish, Crimson. When that person was saying, I ain't ready, and a minute ago we was like it's tit for tat, it might be tit for tat. It might be. But at the same time, you can't
Hmm.
control a person's reaction to your action. Because when
Hmm.
whatever the situation was happening and they was ready to have that confrontation and ready to talk with you and ready to stand in the fire, you weren't ready.
So
You
it
had to go
sounds
on,
like to
right?
me,
You went
D
off
is
and you
holding
processed it.
avoidance accountable,
Right, you got to be
basically.
accountable because now, an hour later, 2 days later,
Reality
however
based.
long it took you, now you want to circle back.
Hey, related based. Welcome in.
Meanwhile,
Mhm.
this person has had to work through their
Reality
feelings
based.
and whatever was going on by themselves because
Hmm.
you weren't ready. So now they had to figure it out by themselves. They had to figure out if they was willing to stay. They had to figure out what you had going on and everything else. And now you want to talk.
Can I say
Mm-hmm.
something?
Listen, you can't make a person react at the timing that you want them to have and then say, "Oh, you're punishing me."
Not what
No.
I'm
Right. Let's
saying.
hold on one sec. Okay, let's take a pause. BG wanted to chime in right quick. Welcome in, BG. Thank you.
I just want to address the prompt when it says anxious attachments, loving hard or loving scared. The question is the deep love or deep fear of abandonment? I would say, as a person, you have to love yourself, right? Understand that people are going to hurt you. People are going to, you know what I'm saying, do things that may not fit your, expectations or may not add up to your expectations. The thing is, it's like how far are you willing to go with that? Because I feel like if you truly love somebody and you truly care about them, you have that understanding that, hey, every day I wake up next to you, it's a learning process even until the day God calls you home or whatever the case might be. Like, you have to understand, even in marriages today, I think that people are so quick to just give up, to be like, oh, I'm angry at this. I'm mad at this. I'm not willing to work through it. I'm not willing to learn what's really going on here. So I'm just going to give up because I don't understand it. Right. But if you truly
Mm-hmm.
love that person, it's not the fear of abandonment. It's basically saying I love myself enough to get an understanding with myself to figure out why I act the way I act. So if I love myself enough, I'm going to show you the exact same love. But if I
Mm.
feel that we're not getting anywhere, then I'm going to communicate with you and let you know from my perspective. Hey, I love you. I'm gonna start it off with that. I love you. I care about you. But at this moment, I feel like I'm stuck because you're not giving me anything to really go off of the emotions and you know what I mean? So it's like if you're not giving me nothing, how do you expect for me to work with you? So we're just gonna be stuck here in this place because I care about you enough to understand you. And I'm gonna land right there.
I love that, BG. I love what you just said because I do want to point out something. And Derek, if you're still in the, that means we just love and we believe anxious attachments believe that if we're loving you like this, if we're giving you this type of attention, we just want it back, and we think that much of ourselves. BG is what you're saying. That I mean, not that much of ourselves, but we love ourselves to know that we deserve the love that we're giving out.
Yeah, so it's like basically what I'm saying is
That's
I love my
interesting.
I love myself enough to be patient with myself because I know at
Mm-hmm.
times I make bad decisions and I try to understand why I made these bad decisions, right? So the love that I give to myself, you can't love somebody without loving yourself. So the same love that I show to myself, I'm going to show to the next person, whether they hurt me or not. Because guess
Mm-hmm.
what? By your actions doesn't take away from who I am. I'm not going to stop being a loving person just because I had one bad relationship. I'm not going to say one bad apple spoiled the bunch because
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just, hey, you just caught a bad person or you just caught somebody who wasn't ready to receive what you was giving out, right? So the next person I encounter, they're going to get the exact same treatment, maybe more if we get further in our
Thank you,
relationship.
Aaron,
You see what I'm
baby.
saying?
Yeah.
So don't stop loving yourself or stop, saying that, hey, look, I'm gonna just be to myself. I'm just gonna do what I gotta do. I ain't stunning no man or I'm not stunning no woman because these women ain't shit or these men ain't shit. No, like be yourself. Don't be afraid to love, bro. Don't be
So
afraid.
and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I do want to get back to this anxious attachment, right? So, and this is
Mhm.
for you and everybody else in the chat. Well, first, let me ask you: do you know what your attachment style is? Are you a secure attachment, anxious attachment, avoidant, like a dismissive avoidant, or a fearful avoidant
Um,
when
I'm
it
not
comes to
really.
relationships?
No, I'm not
Mhm.
fearful. Like I'm confident. Like I'm very confident in. I just feel like be you.
But
So
but I'm
like,
asking this because, and I'm asking this because yesterday we talked about what each of these attachment styles identify with, right? So a secure attachment is basically secure. They're not pressing the issue about somebody texting them back rapidly or needing all of their attention. They are comfortable within their own skin to give the person the space that they need. Okay. That is a secure attachment. An
Yeah,
anxious
that would be
attachment, the
me.
person is like, okay, all right, so we want to stop there because, all right, well, for everybody else in the room, an anxious attachment style is they need results right then and there, or they want to be around you. They expect rapid replies, and if you don't reply in within a reasonable amount of time, they start assuming things or make up their own um narratives in their head, of why this person's not talking to me, so they automatically go into a, I guess you could say, a dark space, a dark place of, what did I do wrong? This person don't love me anymore. I guess our relationship is over because they don't want to talk. They're not processing that, hey, maybe this person just needs some space, um I'm gonna go forth with the dismissive attachment. They actually enjoy their time alone, their independence, their freedom, and when they want to get close to someone, but when they do, they start to feel kind of like smothered or feel like their freedom is being taken away of a sense. So they start to detach themselves a little bit from the relationship. They pull back. A fearful attachment, a fearful avoidant style attachment style is usually a person that they avoid based off of the fear that they of falling in love, in a sense, like they're fearful of love. Okay, so they get in it and then they kind of just run away and do their own thing because of that fear. That fear takes control. And a lot of the times we found out that our attachment styles do run our relationships and we just don't identify with them because we don't know what they are or understand what they are, So going back to our topic today, the ancient attachment style. A lot of the times people with anxious attachment, I keep saying ancient. It's my tongue, y'all. It's my speech impediment. But people with anxious attachment don't love too much. Sometimes they fear losing connection. And this is what anxious attachment is. Some of the traits is they crave reassurance. They're very sensitive to changes in behavior. Okay. They overthink mixed signals and feel safest with consistent communication. Anxious attachment isn't clingy. It's hyper aware of connection. BG, is that kind of relative to what you were saying about being hypersensitive or hyper aware of their emotions?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm chewing something real quick.
That's
So
fearful
yeah,
avoidant. Mm-hmm.
you have to be aware of their emotions. And when I say aware of their emotions, it's basically saying that if I come home and I sense something is wrong or something is, you know what I mean? It's not that I'm fear of you doing anything to me or whatever the case. It's just I'm genuinely concerned.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not, how can I put this? You have some people that ask the questions, hey, what are you doing? Where are you going? What time are you going to be back? And what, you know what I'm saying? And you have people that feel like, dang, you ask a lot of questions. Why are you asking me all these questions for? You know?
Mm-hmm.
But they're just genuinely concerned because that's the person that they are. You know what I mean? It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like that. They have um, that nurturing habit, like a mom or a dad. Hey, what time you plan on being back? Or where you finna go? Okay, because they feel that, oh, if something happens, I need to know to let people know what was your last whereabouts. So it's not. I mean, yeah. So it's not really like a control thing. It's just I'm genuinely concerned, but it's looked at through society's eyes or another person's eyes as you're trying to keep tabs on me. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and some people avoiding thinks that avoiding will automatically think that a person is trying to keep tabs on them.
Mm-hmm.
So avoiding will automatically think that, and anxious attachment style will think that they running away because they just don't want them anymore. They're
Yeah.
afraid of losing them.
Yeah.
Um. So
Well,
do anybody on the panel Anybody on the panel, do you think anxious attachment is misunderstood? Let's start with Shy.
Good morning.
Good
Um,
morning, Grand Rising Beautiful.
so yeah, I think that they can be misunderstood because sometimes it comes off as, they're very clingy, they need a lot of reassurance, all those types of things, and it might seem as though they're just very needy. And you have to look at them with grace and understanding to see that that comes from, generally, these attachment styles, they come from childhood because it comes from your attachment style with your parents. And were you securely attached as a child? And if you weren't, then you probably have an insecure attachment style, which would be the anxious, the fearful avoidant, or the dismissive avoidant. And it comes from early childhood. So it's looking at, okay, where did that come from? Why do they feel like that? Why do they feel like they need that extra reassurance? And it's probably because they didn't get that in childhood. So when you look at it like that, you're really not speaking to maybe that adult person. You're speaking to that inner child. That inner child saying, why aren't you choosing me? Why aren't you responding to me? Why aren't you there for me? I really need you right now. I need that answer right now. Like, think about when you were a child and like you wanted to go to your friend's house. You didn't want to wait 2 days to know whether or not you could go. You wanted an immediate answer. So that's what I think we need to keep in mind. And with that being said, we should all be working towards security, right? Like that should be the goal. We shouldn't just be living in those attachment styles. Like, for example, I had fearful avoidant attachment style, and that comes from deep-seated trauma, usually in early childhood, because it's a mixture of avoidant and anxious. And it's like this back and forth thing, which is a hot mess. If you get into a relationship with someone like that, you think an avoidance bad, try one of us. But you work toward healing that inner child. And as the anxious person, you would be trying to sit with that discomfort of that anxiety that someone's not immediately responding to you, and being able to tell yourself, it's okay. They're going to get back to me. Maybe they're busy. Let me try to do something else in the meantime. So yeah, I do think they're misunderstood. And I'm sorry for like the long-winded answer.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Cause you were, you were giving it from, of course, your opinion, but you also are familiar with, the mental health field, right? So I believe it's the mental health, right? Behavioral health.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a
Yeah.
therapist.
Yeah. So, oh, thank you, babe. I got a cup of coffee. Thank you, sis, and I appreciate the daily heart me. Yeah, so I'm actually enjoyed your answer and you breaking it down because I do agree. I feel like anxious attachments are misunderstood. They represent people believe that they're clingy, and it's just we make a person, in a sense, our life, but sometimes it's deep rooted. And like BG said, I don't know where he went, but a lot of times we love hard because we desire to. A lot of times we desire to have that love reciprocated, right? So we, I guess you could say, overly express ourselves in a sense, and it comes across as clingy. Um, have you ever dated somebody that was anxious? I think you said you did, right? When you were fearful and they were anxious.
So for me, I was fearful and I married an avoidant. So that put me into my anxious, and that made me the anxious person.
Okay,
Um,
that's
and
interesting.
yeah, so as a fearful avoidant, it's like you can go either way, and it depends on who you're with. And when you're with someone who is avoidant, you kind of go into your anxious side. And that made me the person that was looking for the reassurance. And as they became more and more avoidant, I became less and less forgiving.
Mhm.
And ultimately, it didn't work. It ended up in divorce. And I mean, I do have to say, I disagree with people giving up like so quickly because um, it was a long time. It was a long process for me. I was trying for at least, it was 8 years of really, really trying to hold on to that marriage,
Mhm.
and sitting with the discomfort, believe me. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think people really, there are a lot of individuals and couples that really do work toward trying to make these relationships work. And if the problem is, if both people are not working toward the same goal, it's not going to work ultimately.
Right.
So,
Right. And I think that's what Crimson was talking about. And I believe that Crimson actually did exactly what he is used to doing as an avoidant. Now, yesterday he stayed the entire time on the panel, but as you see, he dropped off the panel after having that conflict with D. You see what I'm saying? So it may have put him in overstimulation mode and found a way to vacate. So that's a perfect example right there of an avoidant. Yeah, trigger. And a lot of us, we have triggers, and a lot of us not even aware of our attachment styles because of those triggers. So, and I do agree with Shy when she said that we have to find a way to get to um, becoming more of a secure attachment because it does affect our relationships. It does run our relationships if we don't get a handle on it and maintain some type of control. Big still said, I'm always still overstimulated. Yeah, I do. I get overstimulated too. Yeah. Welcome in, Patson, Savvy, and Simpson. Thank you for joining the panel. Can you guys, right quick, um, do you feel as though anxious attachments are misunderstood? Either
Yeah,
one? Hmm.
I, I don't know much about these attachment styles. You know, I've been listening a little
Okay.
bit, and I listened to you yesterday. And it's interesting. Like, if someone asks me what mine is, I have no idea. I I
Okay.
I no clue. But it is. I can understand. I think when I read and I hear people's what they say, I think in my mind I can ping what I would say that person acts like. So I guess I kind of know without knowing, you know.
Hmm.
But so what I didn't get here in the beginning. So what exactly is anxious like?
Okay, so I'm going to run it through for the people that's just coming in the room that may not be familiar with the different attachment styles. All right, and I would rather just read it because me trying to explain it, I might forget something and I don't want to forget anything. Okay, so there are different attachment styles in a relationship. You have the secure attachment. People with this style are generally comfortable with closeness or independence, right? And independence. So they feel safe trusting others. They communicate their needs openly and they handle conflict in a balanced way. They don't fear abandonment or intimacy. An anxious attachment, they're preoccupied. This attachment style is marked by a strong desire for closeness, often paired with fear of abandonment. That's self-explanatory, right? Meaning that they may overthink constantly in a relationship, worry about the relationship, that it's not going well, that so what they try to do is counter it by constantly calling someone, checking on somebody, asking them how they feel. Do you still love me? Constantly need a reassurance throughout the day and validation, right? And they simply don't feel like they're enough. Avoidance, dismissive. The dismissive avoidant suppress their emotions or avoid vulnerability. People with this style value their independence and often feel uncomfortable with too much closeness. Um, so they prefer self-reliance over depending on others. They pull away when things get too intimate and they may seem emotionally distant. That right there is the avoidant, dismissive avoidant. So then you have the fearful avoidant. They're disorganized. It's like a disorganized attachment, and it's actually a combination of an anxious and a dismissive. This mix of anxious and avoidant tendencies. They want closeness but fear it at the same time. They struggle with trust and emotional regulation. They may have unpredictable reactions in relationships, and they often is linked to past trauma or inconsistent caregiving. They can feel like it can feel like a push and pull type of relationship. You're pulling or pushing, and they're pulling away, type thing. Okay, so that's the difference between the attachment styles. Savi, do you identify with any one of those,
Um,
or you don't know still?
Not really. I mean, I guess the closest B would probably be secure, and then I
Okay.
guess a little bit of avoidant because I need an immense amount of time by myself. Like I love my own company, so I work by myself, and I don't have many friends at all, and I don't mind that because I like being by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Honestly,
I
Savi,
don't have a problem.
I would just say you're secure and you just like space. Like that's just part of your personality. It has nothing to do with your attachment. I think you're secure, to be honest. Just from hearing you like speak, you're just a secure attachment.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I'll
Respectfully.
take that. That's oh, that's fine by me. Yeah.
Yeah, we all do have, and Dr. Patton said, "Thank you for the heart me to narrow and welcome in, Dr. Patton." I agree. We all have an attachment style, but a lot of us we're not aware of it, whether it be secure, anxious, or avoidant. You know what I'm saying? We all have an attachment style. And being secure, that's still an attachment style. Okay. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense.
Simpson, welcome in, honey. How you doing? You want to jump in? Do you
Thank you
identify with
so
any of
much.
these attachment styles? Well, no problem.
I'm doing great. I'm in the same boat as the savvy because I'm
Hmm.
just learning about the attachment styles. I learned a little bit more and got a little bit more insight on yesterday about the different styles. And if I had to say that I was a particular style, it would probably be secure attachment because I always have clear communications. I'm always direct. I'm never on the fence about whether a person cares about me or their love for me. But what I don't like is someone just saying words and they really don't have a meaning behind the words, but they're saying everything that they think you want to hear because when I'm listening, now I know like I'm a divorced, but I married an avoidant style. He was
Hmm.
definitely an avoidant, now that I look at it and can connect the dots. But I never knew that there was such a thing as, styles, this different
Hmm.
styles. So it's very interesting for me to, hear people's, take on their styles because I never associated per se a particular style, with the way
Hmm.
people love or the way people attach. So yeah, this is very new and it's pretty informative.
Yeah, and that's what we were hoping to bring to the live is some information that may help people understand their partners better, or even open up a conversation for them and their partners to maybe help navigate a little bit. Like, hey, did you ever think that it helps them just understand things a lot better? I think. Um, and possibly even contribute to giving a little bit more grace and understanding, along with opening up dialogue and within their own homes. So that's the goal here. Uh, and because we're on attachment, anxious attachment, my next question to y'all are the main question. Are anxious partners actually too much? Or do they do too much? Or just asking, you know, like how do people feel about that? Are they just too much? Too I can't even put it. I don't even know how to put it. but just to say too much. Because I've heard some people say that I can be too
Yes.
much. Like it's overwhelming,
I
overstimulated. My son told me I overstimulated him.
My kids say that all the time. They're like, "Mom, you got to chill." But
Hmm.
I think yes. I think that any of these attachments that aren't secure are too much, and that's why we need to work towards security, because it's not healthy. It means that we need to heal something within ourselves, and that's why we should be working toward doing that. Um, and that's where I think a lot of the problems come from in our relationships, because we are fatiguing our partners and trying to get them to accommodate us in our insecurities.
Thank
Whether
you. I
it
am
be
Teresa.
we need
Hmm.
a lot of reassurance, or as an avoidant, we need a lot of space, because it's too much for the other person to make these accommodations. And if we're secure, we can have, a nice balance.
Right. They can be balanced. Exactly. And I think that's what's most important. I want to get Dr. Patton in on this. Welcome, Dr. Patton. And before we start with you, I am going to throw this at the entire panel. When does when does reassurance become emotional labor? And also, is wanting consistency a basic need?
Um, Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it is a basic need, but I'm gonna circle back and put it all together just for a few seconds, if I may.
Okay.
You know how I do. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
um, I've become familiar with attachment styles over the last year because of what I've been through personally. Like the other sister spoke, when you go through a divorce and finding out that my ex-wife is a dismissive avoidant. And then I was operating in the anxious attachment style because my fear of abandonment was at an all-time high because of I lost my mother at 4 years old. My father had been married two other times, and the third wife was the most consistent woman in my life, but she was out of my life by the time I was 17.
Oh.
So then having women disappoint me and trying to trust them. And then I'm not going to sit here and say I've been a perfect angel in relationships because I haven't,
Mhm.
right? And so I'll tie to this. I think that like with personality tests, and even as a pastor, when we study the fivefold giftings in Ephesians 4:11, I
Hmm.
think sometimes we look at these attachment styles or gifts or personality tests at the time,
Hold
but they're
on, hold on.
not.
I missed you said I think we look at the attachment styles, personality, and then it kind of cut out. What did you say after
Yes,
that?
yeah, I had a phone call come through.
Oh,
I had to hang it up. But we look at the attachment styles as though that is who we are all the time. I think that in every relationship, when it first starts, it is a secure attachment to a certain extent because the honeymoon
mm-hmm.
phase says, "Hey, man, this is where I want to be." And then when the honeymoon phase starts to kind of dissipate, then those other things start to kind of show up depending on because attachment styles are really based on how you were raised and how you were reared as a child. And leading psychologists, and the only reason why I know about this stuff, Mrs. Carroll, is because I've been studying it religiously on top of my PhD studies that I'm working on even now. And it just kind of fell into my lap. So that's why I came into the room today because I was like, wow, somebody actually knows what this stuff is. And leading psychologists are the ones who are exposing all of this. And if you've ever seen and experienced some of these personality style or attachment styles and you can see yourself in them and you're just not learning about them, if you've ever been discarded, if you've ever been broken on people, it all explains these patterns that's based on the nervous system and the traumatic experiences that we've had in our life, not only around relationships. So that's why, going back to your question, that's why we're really craving consistency. We're craving intimacy. We're craving certain aspects of communication. And I think one sister spoke and said that one guy said that he was overstimulated by her. That was only because here's the truth: he didn't have the capacity to deal with you, and not necessarily deal with you, but be in a type of relationship with you that was in depth because and not because of any fault of your own, but you require much more because you just have a lot more depth. And I think that if we learn more, and I've landed the plane here, if we learn about these attachment styles more in depthly as before we get in relationships, you will be able to really, you'll be able to recognize some of these personality traits and then make some better decisions about who you really want to invest your time with. Because I don't want to be discarded. I don't want avoidance. I want to have open and honest communication and not only make that a requirement, more than we've had this conversation 50-50 and how many kids you got, how many degrees you got. No, how do you attach? How do you really deal with conflict? All those things that are very important. So consistency is very key and important. And you shouldn't apologize in closing for asking for those things, in particular, if you know you're going to give it too. So it's fair to
Mhm.
say that you should demand that because you're going to give it. Don't ask for anything that you can't demand or keep up yourself. So
That's good. I love everything. I love how you just broke it down and you just brought it back to all together, like just like a yummy soup. Just, it was just like soup. It was so warm and it was digestible. I hope everybody in the chat, I hope that kind of like, allowed y'all to really understand that, this is not, nobody don't want to be avoided and nobody wants to be anxious all the time. I don't think anybody wants that for real, for real. But the other question you missed, when does reassurance become emotional labor? I guess for whoever else. Because, I mean, you got to think about it. It's not just our romantic relationships. Our attachment styles can affect our friendships. It could affect our uh, relationships with our children, at work, things of that nature. Because a lot of the times we move and respond on how we feel or how somebody's made us feel.
well,
So
and
when does reassurance become emotional labor?
let me
I'm
say
gonna
this
get
for
back to you.
45. Let me say this for 45 seconds, and somebody else can speak.
Okay.
Love is one of those things, if you really know what it is outside of how you feel about it,
Hmm.
love requires labor. Because the truth of the matter is, nobody's going to come into a relationship completely 100% whole from the stuff that we've experienced in our childhoods and past relationships and all the other good stuff. So it only becomes laborsome or burdensome when there's no progress being made, I think, where you can express a thing but a person keeps doing it. And then it becomes like, hey, I may have to cut my losses. Like if you were on Gilligan's Island, or at least if you were on the ship that, made them crash to float to Gilligan's Island, what can I throw overboard in this relationship to make it work? And if we throw some things overboard and we still got a problem, then I have to reevaluate the relationship then because we're going to labor with each other. That's what I think.
Right. I agree. That's awesome. You're so beautiful. So right quick, this is for people in the chat and on the panel. Now put a 1 in the chat if it's a yes, put a 2 in the chat if it's a no. So let's talk about texting. Um, is delayed texting disrespectful? 1 in the chat for a yes, 2 in the chat for a no. This is going to say a lot. So Dr. Patton said 2. Where's 3, Savvy? Okay.
3 is depends.
It depends. Okay. So a lot of people were saying, a lot of the panel and some people in the chat, oh, delayed texting. Do you think that's disrespectful? We have 2 depends. We have 1 yes. We have a lot of 2s as a no. Okay. Because, they say the anxious, this called the anxious attachment battlefield, right? That delayed texting, they need a text back to soothe whatever they may be feeling, going through, experiencing a moment when they don't hear from a certain person within a certain amount of time. Like for instance, if a person says, how are you doing today? For instance, say, how are you doing today? I was thinking about you, and the anxious attachment sitting there waiting for a response. And they don't get a response for a lengthy period of time. So they automatically, a lot of times, the anxious attachment, they automatically go into a phase like, well, they don't want to talk to me. Did I do something wrong? Anxious attachment do that. And they often feel that delayed texting is disrespectful, or that's what they say. They try to come up out their feelings and then it turns into something else. So, what about double texting? One in the chat, is double texting okay? Or two is not okay? And if nobody knows what double texting is, it's like, so you text somebody and then you double back I would say within a 10-minute frame, like, did you get my text? Or how about this infamous one, the question mark? Who has done that?
And
Um,
did you ask one is okay or two is not okay? Is that what you said?
yeah, it's one okay, yes, or two is not okay. Double texting. Double texting is not okay. Okay. It
Because
don't
I
bother
said
you.
I said three. I said it depends because I it depends on the text itself and what the person is supposed to be doing at that time, right? So like if the person is working and their work is where they can't necessarily their phone can't necessarily be with them all the time or near them all the time,
Hmm.
then I think texting back later is something um, is okay. But then if it's if they're just out doing stuff or whatever and they have their phone with them, then an hour later text seems like not okay. So that's why I said it depends.
It depends on the context. Like I am
Yeah.
Teresa, she said double texting is okay if it's not based out of controlling the narrative. And a lot of times when anxious attachments, they double text to control the narrative. They want an answer. They need an
Well,
answer.
I think that's it does it's nuanced everything. I
Hmm.
think that for people that are in
Thank you, Savvy.
situations
Hmm.
that are like you get anxious or there's something important, I think the best way, as fast as you can, say, "Hey, I'm at work. I can't talk right now." Oh, okay, that can make the question mark go away, and then you may have somebody that may not believe you, or they don't. I mean, they're just so demanding to because they're not either. Trust me, people that are not that have trust issues are not trustworthy people.
Hmm.
I found it to be true in my own personal experiences with myself being a cheater and being cheated on. And so as I've matured, I had to realize that, especially now trying to really kind of put my toe back in the water of dating and that kind of deal. I just take people for their word until they show that they can't be trusted. And depending on how early they show they can't be trusted, then there's a certain category you got to be put in. All the double texting and following up and all this harassment. I'm a PhD student. I work a full time job. I'm a father, right? I'm a preacher, pastor. I got things to do other than see your question mark on my text that you sent me 5 minutes ago. That shows me that you don't respect my time, and vice versa. I'm not going to do that to
Mm.
you. I, I'm going to take your word until your word is no good. That gets rid of all of the ancient stuff because again, you're probably not a trustworthy person.
Hmm.
And 9 times out of 10, I could be wrong about every situation, but all the double texting and especially depending on who you are as a person and what you got going on. You got one thing going on and you don't realize that you're dating somebody that's got seven things going on, and then you double text and you calling. You must be with that girl down the street, stuff like that. I'm
Hmm.
50. I'm too old for that. I ain't got time for that. I gotta do something else. I mean, but that's just me.
That sounds like an anxious attachment person right there, automatically assuming the worst. You
And
cheating
the
on
avoidant,
me.
The avoidant too. That's an avoidant attachment style too as well. And
Really?
yes, because what they do is that the reason why they did when they get to the dismissive and the ancient, that they're really close,
Hmm.
because what they're trying to really do is get you before they think you're gonna get them.
So that would be the fearful avoidant, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, and and
Okay.
and all of them touch each other. And
Mm.
so when you understand how they touch each other, and the reason somebody say I'm speaking, the reason why I know, because I just went through it. And the last year, as I have been literally learning about these things, even just opposing my own experiences when I wasn't such a good person in a relationship, now it all makes sense. And so from that perspective, again, that's why I said I don't necessarily subscribe to a person being all those one dominant thing. I just think that with our experiences,
Hmm.
that we can touch some of them at some point, and as relationships
Okay,
unravel,
luminescence. Hmm.
as we're trying to rekindle or trying to rebuild or build, we will see these type of things really, that
Thank you,
they'll
Keita.
manifest. And it's
Mhm.
up to us to figure out how to best manage them and communicate. And I say this in closing: when you find yourself with someone or dealing with someone that avoids tough conversations, you got a tough decision to make. You really do.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, if you marry them and really get entrenched in a deep relationship, the threat for them really discarding you and really hurting you, it goes through the roof.
Hmm.
It just does. And when it happens, it's really, and I'm not all the way there. I'm probably about maybe 75 to 80% there from an emotional space of the rumination and the traumatic experience of being discarded and cheated on. It's one of those things to where it's like a car accident. It's like something like your neck has been broken, because literally emotionally it affects your nervous system. So that's what's
Hmm.
going on when you deal with this stuff. And don't let anybody tell you when you're going to get over it and all this other stuff, because your nervous system literally is repeating all of the different things that has happened, and all the things that you thought was reality that is no longer reality. So that's why you have to literally, if once you get healthy, have boundaries to say, hey, look, if you're going to avoid conversations, if you don't communicate effectively, and from a reciprocal standpoint, I can't date you.
Hmm.
You may be fine. You may make all the money in the world. You may look good in the sundress. You may look like everything I want. But the brass tacks of this is communication. And if we cannot do that, baby girl, I can't do it. I can't.
Right. I think what's it? Priestess Potions, thank you so much for the daily heart mean. Thank you everybody coming in. Thank you for all the daily heart means. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lumiscence, for blessing the panel. I appreciate you. And Keita, look, we still got a little bit more to go. This topic is I'm an anxious attachment, and I'm going to ask everybody that's in the room in the chat, because we're finding out from people in the panel as we go along their attachment style. But if you are anxious attachment, okay, so let me do it. All right. So I want you to identify with your attachment style, right? Because I one of the things of how we can, I guess you could say, heal or move forward is really getting to know ourselves. And it's okay. This is a safe space. Nobody's judging you. Okay. If you are a secure attachment, put secure. If you are anxious, put anxious. If you are avoidant, put avoidant. And also, I need you to either put avoidant, dismissive, or fearful, because there's two different avoidant attachment styles: fearful and dismissive. So if you're dismissive avoidant, put dismissive or fearful. Okay. So Sin Sin says she's secure. Sarah secure. Angelic Soul secure. Big Big Sil said he all of them. I guess it just depends on who he dealing with, huh? And I'm gonna get into, okay, so Keita says she's anxious. Okay. I'm anxious too, Keita. Nice to meet you. Look, it feel like what they say when you go into one of those healing circles and they say, "Hi, my name is so and so. I'm a anxious attachment." Yeah, and it's okay because this is a series. We're going to be talking about these attachment styles for the whole week, you guys, and we're going to get to the light at the end of the tunnel because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So if you stick with this series throughout the week, we're going to learn a lot about the different attachment styles and how they will help us going forward, whether it be with our children, our coworkers, our friendships, our romantic relationships, and our marriages. This is important because you have to know who you are and you have to also know who you're dealing with in order for it to work. That way you can navigate
Yeah.
through conversations and be able to communicate better with a little bit of grace and understanding. Yes, Savvy?
Uh, I was thinking about what Dr. Andrew had said, because he said he doesn't have time to deal with certain things, and I think when you meet a person, whatever, and you're dating or whatever the case may be, I think these issues that come up, I think kind of give you as the person more clarity on how much you actually like this person versus how much you actually thought you liked the person when you first met them. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think that if like you said, certain things happen or whatever, then he doesn't have time for it. And I think that's probably true, except for if it's someone that he actually really enjoys and wants to get to know. And I think that's kind of where it is a positive in one sense, because if you're not willing to work through it per se, or if you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, then they're not for you to begin with. So I think in that sense, there's a difference to that. I hope that makes sense.
Well, say that one time. You said a light at the end of the tunnel. Are you
Yeah. So
referring to
yeah.
what I
So
said?
well, referring to what the doctor said, it's like if he meets someone and they're doing this and doing that, that he doesn't have time for all of that, jazz or nonsense or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And to me that means that when he initially met this person, what's happening is not he doesn't value enough that there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, that the investment of time is going to be worth it at the end. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's where, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing because it helps people not waste as much time, I guess. But I think
Mm-hmm.
it comes down to the degree of how much you like the person. So,
I said that. I said that yesterday when I was talking about sharing that I was an anxious attachment. I said it really just depends on how much I, like the person or want them in my space. If I really care, because if I don't care too much for you, I don't care if you go or if you stay. But I do realize that I get attached pretty easily too. And that I think that's also something that's not really talked about with anxious attachment styles is that they get attached pretty easily to someone. And it could be like in a very short span of time that they don't even know this person. So, and then what happens? Now they're pressing the issue. What's going on? What's this, that? Instead of allowing the person to show them genuinely how they feel about them. Attachment style, anxious attachment, um, they try to, I guess you could say, force it to fit if the piece still don't fit and they know it. But hold on one second. I wanted to touch back right quick on what Dr. Andrew Patton said. Also, um, when I brought up children, um, it's very important to know, as Dr. Patton said in the comments, if we are parents, we must know that we are shaping our children's attachment styles by how we engage with our children. So this topic is very, very, very important. It's not just for relationships. If anybody in here have children, remember, you are shaping them and their attachment styles. So, try to raise them up in a way that they would become of a more of a secure attachment, and that can look like Dr. Patton.
Well, I was going to say this really quickly. Since I brought it up, and I hate to say this, um, attachment styles are ruined when children see their parents divorced automatically.
Mm.
And so I think a lot of the conversations now that we're having outside of the attachment style, and that's why this conversation is so important. And again, kudos to you, Mrs. Carroll, for doing this, because I think that, in particular in the Black community, if we really understood that, we wouldn't so hastily enter in or even break some of these relationships. Now, I get it. I'm not advocating for you staying with nobody that's beating you up, misusing you, emotionally abusing you, those kind of things. Everything has nuance. But when we talk about some, I'm just not in love no more, and I want to go outside kind of stuff, that's the majority of a lot of this stuff. To be honest with, if we're honest, and so when we understand that, as I stated earlier, the mother that raised me from 9 to 17 was what shaped a lot of my attachment style as a man. And you said something so powerful. I attached really quickly without a lot of investigation. And that's where
Mhm.
that comes from, that mother wound. If I had a healthier relationship and consistent relationship with a mother figure in my life in my formative years, I probably wouldn't have attached as quickly. Right. And so those things really make sense, in particular for boys, right? Because
Mhm.
we tell our boys, our sons and our daughters, we tell, the narrative is, hey, providing for them, and they need provision financially. But we're not talking about providing for them emotionally, giving them the example for them understanding what it truly means to be
Mhm.
loved and to be protected, and for little boys to see their mothers be loved a certain way, little girls to see their fathers be loved a certain way. Well, that those things are developed innately from a nervous system standpoint. And so what we have going on, and in closing, is a bunch of adults, and all of us, probably some form of therapy, right? And when you understand it from that perspective, when you get to therapy, it's going to help if you get a good therapist, because every therapist ain't good. Trust me. I had to search for some until I got some good
Come
ones.
on.
But the right therapist will really help you to understand these attachment styles, and then help you to really kind of, maybe you can't circle back to the things that you did in the past that messed you up. Definitely can't change your childhood, because that's already done.
Yeah.
But you can definitely make better decisions for the
Tell
time
me
that you're
about it.
in now, and
Mhm.
also make sure that if you're a parent, that you're very intentional about how and what they see as it relates to how you relate to people, not only romantically, but even friends, certain
Mhm.
family members, certain things that we don't really think about, that is still shaping attachment styles in our kids. So I just want to share that from that angle. And I'll close by saying this, going back to what my brother, I think Sin said, I think his name is, I was deeply in love with my wife, deeply. And so when you love deep, you don't know those things. Sometimes people say, "Well, didn't you see this? Didn't you see that?" No, I just made a decision to love. And for anybody that's listening to this conversation, don't ever, even if it was the wrong person, never ever discount yourself for making a decision to love, because that's a separate issue from a standpoint of, hey, I made a decision out of this or that, and sometimes that may be the case, but still making a decision to love, that says a lot about you. And I think that when we talk about attachment styles, and how they influence our decisions, too many times we beat each other up for said decisions, because after decisions is over, it's like, how do I learn from that decision? Well, we've had
Mhm.
these conversations. How did I attach? Why did I attach? Why was it hard for me to detach from something that was toxic? That's when you really can learn about how to attach and detach, or what to attach with, and who to be in relationship with, and to have the strength to walk away when it's time to walk away.
Right, right. Thank you. Another beautifully said. Hey, Dr. Patton, I missed you. I missed you, sir. You need to come around more.
You
Thank you
just
so much.
you send me the invite, sis, and if I ain't working, I we here.
Okay.
We here.
And I'm gonna have to touch bases on you with something too. But we gonna get to that. I'm gonna hit your box. Um, I am Teresa. Welcome in. Thank you so much. And thank you for patiently waiting. I appreciate you.
Oh no, you're very
Um,
welcome.
yeah, what you gotta give to the conversation
I just
based on
love
what
your
you heard so
dialogue.
far?
I love your
Oh,
dialogue. I love just pretty much how everyone is talking about this. What I was going to tell the panel and also the people
thank you for sharing a
downstage
lot.
is to give yourself grace. So once you get to a point that you are going through the therapy, you're actually applying everything that it is that you're learning, you're not afraid to face your demons, so to speak. There's still going to be a process. And so a lot of times, whenever we do hear people that are on the other side, we aspire to reach that, but we start beating ourselves up because we're not there yet. The whole point is that it's your process and you don't know who your audience is yet. So you don't know what you're going through and how you're going through it is necessary. Your testimony is going to touch someone. So be willing to give yourself that grace in order for you to learn what you need to learn and journal what you need to journal and be honest with yourself. I recently just looked over a couple of my journals and I was like, wow, Lord, I'm not that person anymore. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you get an opportunity when you take the time out, you get an opportunity when you do reflect, you're just like, okay, I see the growth. And that's the aim, but don't rush the process. And I let my plane.
Yes. I love that. So beautifully said. Thank you so much. And I have one is this one last wait a minute. Okay, so we're almost to the end. We're almost to the end. Okay. So I do want to share with all the anxious attachment styles that's in here, including myself. All right. Um, I don't know if you know what makes anxious partners amazing, but I will say um, this is part of the light at the tunnel, at the end of the tunnel. However, it's how we move, which makes it a little overwhelming for people. So don't stop being who you are. It's more so of channeling it, right? Being conscious of um, how we are with other people, because not everybody can accept that. I'm going to say pressure. Not everybody can handle it, as we seen earlier with an avoidant that was in a room. And listen, I adore y'all. Missed out on something yesterday when Crimson was talking, okay? Because we learned a lot yesterday. But anyway, the light for anxious partners, we are amazing still. Okay. We have deep emotional connection, very affectionate, loyal and committed, highly empathetic, and strong communicators. So that right there, those are all plus. It's how we do it. We have to be mindful of how often still keep, how often we, I guess you could say, use those great assets of ours. Um, so anxious partners, I do have a question. What's your love language? Put it down for me in the chat and then I'm going to keep moving. Um, what is your love language? And that's for the anxious attachments. And also, can anxious attachments heal? Can in a sense of becoming more secure?
I'm going to say yes,
Mm-hmm.
and I said something in the chat. I think anxious attachment styles, they will fight the hardest for a relationship. I really believe that. And I think that too. Once you get to the avoidant attachment style deal, that's really. Remember when we were in elementary school and we had the grading scale?
Mm-hmm.
anything under a C was like a D and F. D, you could pass the class. F, you just failed the class. I think anything avoidant is D's and F's. I think that the secure and the anxious attachment style is the passing grade. That's the ABC. Because if you match a person that is a secure attachment style and then maybe an anxious attachment style, that secure person will say, you know what, I know that she's anxious, but I know why she's anxious, or I know why he's anxious.
Mm-hmm.
So this person is worth fighting for, because even though they're anxious and they may need a little reassurance, as long as I communicate with them, we're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
good. We're gonna be cool. It's when you get down to the avoidance, they drain you. You got to do more
Yep. That
because
push and pull.
because the thing is, and I've learned this because again, I've dealt with this for the last 8 years. They can say they're sorry, but in nonverbal cues and nonverbal ways, and they sometimes may even come out and say it. But when it's really their time to really kind of be accountable, they have problems with accountability. And one of the things with relationships of any level, marriage, friend, family, whatever, work, business, accountability is paramount, man. You gotta have it. And
Yes.
so the problem is, I think that to wake this part of the conversation up is that you really literally have to try to make sure that once you understand an attachment style, discern what that the attachment style is, and answer the question. My love language is physical touch and words of affirmation.
Right.
And it ain't a love language, but if you can fry some chicken and bake some pork chops, we in there. Because while I'm eating, you affirming me and stroking my ego and touching me, I ain't going nowhere. Where I'm going, because I want that. I may be a little anxious at times, and may even be secure, and sometimes can be dismissive from a standpoint of not want to have certain conversations. But you got to understand how to pull that out of a person,
Right.
and that's why I don't believe in one thing per se. But in our humanity, we can really touch a lot of this stuff. And when you know what your love language is, you know what that person's love language is, and then you can communicate it. Here's where the challenge comes in. I'm quiet after this. The challenge comes in at is that, can I stay
Thank you, Fanny.
focused and be committed to really serving my partner, and my partner serving me? Because
Right.
when somebody stops serving on both ends, and one person is giving more than they should because the other person not caring that person, that's when I think you start to devolve down to the DNF.
Mm-hmm.
You become avoidant, you become dismissive, you may even discard some stuff
Come on.
because you've given so much that your tank is low. You started out. I mean, it's nothing like going on a good trip. I love a good road trip, especially with a pretty woman with a nice sundress on and like R&B like I do. It's nothing like filling up that tank
Mm-hmm.
at the gas station and you on full.
Thank you, Fancy.
But
Mm-hmm.
as you go on the trip, you're gonna lose gas. You're just gonna do it. And so we got to stop and fill that tank back up at some point, right? Because if
Right.
I don't, then I'm gonna become dismissive. I'm going to do some sundress again. I said it, sundress. It's April. Sue me, pray for me.
Yes, I need to go get me some sundresses. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
you got the right sundress on. The brother just might say something to you. I'm just saying.
You better watch
Um,
out now. My husband don't play about me.
no, I ain't talking about you. I ain't talking about
Oh,
you.
I was about to say. I thought you
I
was
ain't look. I
right.
ain't look. I don't want nobody else's wife.
Oh, you
Nobody
were
else's
talking about
wife.
for you.
Yeah, I'm talking about. Yeah, yeah. No. This is what I'm just saying what I like. I ain't talking about you. You my sister. I can't do that. You take
Right,
it. We
right,
spoke this
right.
on. But what I'm saying is, in closing, it's just a matter of understanding that you have to know what that attachment style is, communicate with that, and then work to really serve that attachment style in a way that the tank don't go down to where you want to avoid and you can't even talk to each other because nobody wants to address the elephant in the room, especially when relationships kind of they settle like a new house that you built. You're gonna hit those little creaks in the night and you get to
Mm-hmm.
5 and 10 years and 20, 15, 20 years, and you be like, man, what happened? We used to be all over each other. Now we're not. Well, here's why. Because you stopped filling up the tank. And you thought that you were still in a secure stage and you ain't stopped to maintain what you got. You ain't changing the oil. You ain't putting no gas in the car. You're not washing the car. You're not vacuuming it out. You're not changing the parts like the fuel pumps and all this other stuff to make the car run and last. And so that's why I believe again, and not to say I'm trying to persuade, convince anybody. I just think that attachment styles, we all can touch them at some point in time. And
Mhm.
and as the relationship continues to evolve and grow, then you may see some of this stuff. And if you don't deal with it and address it, how did I end up cheating? Why am I over here? Why am I
Yup.
drinking? Why am I upset? Why am I this and the third? I think that's how it happens, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much. I was just getting ready to let Teresa know she is next. Thank you for sharing that. Teresa, you raised your hand. Hey,
Oh, yes,
Zen,
honey.
welcome in. Thank you.
I agree with
Bye.
everything that was said. I was also just going to say
Absolutely.
what helps us is to rate ourselves. So a lot of times we're quick to rate everybody else. We can rate and tell somebody like they
Thank you,
didn't do
Dr.
this
Zen.
right, they didn't do that right. But how often do
Mhm.
we take time out to rate ourselves? If we
Right.
get into the habit of self-checking, then
Come
some of
on.
these things that take place would not even, we wouldn't even give it a platform because we're
Hmm.
doing the self check. So if we make that a habit, that also can change the trajectory of our experiences. I like my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. It's self check. It's self awareness, self check. Everything starts with self, and we have control over. We actually have more control over ourselves than what our minds sometimes lead us to believe. Okay. So a lot of the time, it takes us to slow down and have a real conversation with ourselves. And a lot of people don't want to have that hard conversation with ourselves because we don't like that person in the mirror. But if we slow down, stop, think, and don't assess, don't go automatically into like I used to do, always blame the other person. I did not think about me. Or, it took me a while for me to sit there and say, am I really like that? I didn't realize I was anxious attachment until I met my husband. Another anxious attachment. That's when I found out what it felt like for the people that I was anxiously attaching myself to. Okay. And I was like, dang, that's what it felt like. I'm trying to tell you, God has a sense of humor. For real, for real. How do we mesh? How we mesh is that I became over time because of my traumas, and me being an anxious attachment, always coming across avoidance. I then kind of swayed into more of an avoidant. So now I'm the avoidant in the relationship and he's the anxious attachment. So when he calling me, checking on me and asking me questions all different times of the day, like, are you okay? Are you mad at me? Da, da, da. And I'm like, I didn't even get a chance to respond to the text message. You asked me, am I mad? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's exactly what you were talking about earlier, Dr. Patton, is that if we're not careful, we can easily slide over into that avoidant category, and we don't want to go there. We actually want to heal so we could become of a more of a secure attachment. And I thought it was a secure attachment, but no, I be running. I be looking at text messages like, okay, don't tell him I said that. Ooh, don't tell him I said that though. Okay, y'all. All right. As long as we got an agreement, I'll be looking at the phone like, okay.
Can I mention something that it's kind of a thought question thing? So I was thinking, you said a while ago
Hey,
about
Juju,
anxious
welcome in.
attachments easily get attached to people. And I thought about it. I said, maybe when you meet someone, I think maybe an anxious attachment person automatically sees the person's good qualities and what they could be, and maybe they see that more than any negatives, and so then you attach real quickly. And I think the anxious part seems to be from then trying to verify that your attachment of what you saw was correct. Like, so you're kind of questioning. You think this person's all these things because you noticed it right away when you met them, and then so after you start talking to them, then the anxious thing is trying to get that validated in the way of all the questions and texts, or do you love me, and all these other things, is kind of validating your decision or your first initial reaction to the person. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense of what you're saying. And honestly, I think, oh, thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And Zen too. Thank you, brother. But I understand what you're saying. I think that when it comes to ancient attachments, oh, Rambo, thank you. Thank you, bro. Welcome back. I think with ancient attachments, when they meet somebody, they have an ideal in their head of what they're going mainly off of emotion. And the ideal in their head is saying, hey, this is a good person, because they just go based off a surface level, right? And it feels good. So that, what they call it, dopamine, it goes sky high. And then the ancient attachment, you're always trying to get that dopamine hit off of, that feeling that you first had when you met them. And I think everybody have that feeling when they first meet somebody. But the thing is that when things starts to settle, the calm comes. Now the anxious attachment is like, but wait, I thought we were good. You know what I'm saying? Now we could still be good, but because things are not moving how it was in the very beginning, we automatically, it's like, oh, let's try to get that back. So now we're doing everything. We're calling more often. Now we sitting on the phone. Now we want to talk. The honeymoon phase, right, is over. And we try to hold them on the phone, and now they want to get off the phone. And then it's like, but wait, when we first met, we was on the phone 24/7. What's going on now? You talking to somebody? All the questions start happening. It's a narrative that happens in our own heads and then we kind of just lose control at that point. Right. So anxious attachments, I think that once they develop a little bit more self-control over their emotions and not trying to push themselves off on the next person, they can handle things a lot better. Overbearing and overwhelming at the same time, right? And yes, very, very well. Very much so. I read our letters from 27 years ago. It gives me that, oh, see, but you got them open, you got them letters to reflect on. And that's another thing. Anxious attachments tend to go after avoidance because the chase is there. It's like the chase is on, the hunt is on. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things that fall along the lines of that. But did I answer your question, Savvy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I understand the dopamine hit thing. But I was just thinking, I was like, maybe it's a subconscious, deeper connection level, and it's like it seems like to me that you're at the late stages of relationship when you first meet, and so to me, in my mind, it seems like it's backward. You guys are like at the end before the beginning, and trying to
Yep.
get to there. That's yeah. So yeah. You answered my question. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Shy, yeah, you can go ahead. I see that you said you
Oh,
were stuff
thank
in.
you. I
Mm-hmm.
was just thinking, like, along the lines of what he was saying. I don't know if this is where he was going, but a lot of times when I think of different things in psychology, in my mind, I relate them to different spiritual gifts
Mm-hmm.
in ways. And I don't know, like, how it's not scientifically proven, and maybe a lot of people don't feed into it, but that's the way that my mind works. Um, but when we think about anxious attachment, when he was saying that, what I was thinking is anxiously attached people, because of what they've been through, they can see the positive and the potential in a person. So
Yeah.
sometimes they're looking at that and they're saying, like, I can just see like this potential with you. And they kind of like future plan with that person. And
Right.
a lot of times with the avoidant, when they first are showing up, they're telling you about this beautiful future that you can create together. And so you're bonding over this, right?
Yep.
Because you're both insecurely attached and you're building this beautiful future in your minds, that doesn't come into fruition, because as you start to get deeper into intimacy, the avoidant becomes uncomfortable and reclusive, while the anxious person becomes very like insecure and is like, hey, what happened to this future? What happened? you know? So I do see where it's kind of like a gift, but now it's like, how do we fine tune that gift, put some
Mm-hmm.
discernment in there
Mm-hmm.
and come back a little bit and become, hey, maybe you can see the potential in the person, but is what they're saying aligning with their actions?
That part right there. And you explained it so perfectly. Thank you for topping that off. Let me tell you, everything you said is so true because I experienced that exact scenario and then got ghosted. And then once I got ghosted, I'm like, oh, hell no. This been a whole week and you going to tell me you just need some time? Well, a whole week? All right, well, you got until Friday. Soon as Friday hit, it was Friday at 12:01 a.m. I started deleting everything, deleting all the text messages. I went on a rampage. Yeah, it happens like that. So I definitely experienced that before. Thank you, Shy. Thing. That's why, we got to have people up here. Thank you for clarifying that for Savvy. Now, can anxious attachment become secure? I think I asked that. Come secure and actually heal. So some of the ways to do that, you guys, for all the anxious attachment style people in here, including myself, dating secure partners, as Dr. Patton done said earlier, that can definitely help. Yes, absolutely. Therapy too. Therapy. Yep. Find out why you are this way. Get to the root, to the tutor. Find out your inner and deep rooted issue, right? So dating secure people, therapy, yes. Soothing skills. Therapy will teach you self-soothing skills. They will teach you these things for sure. Also communication skills. In therapy, you learn all of these. And emotional regulation. Take a step back and gather yourself. Check your emotions. And also, as Shai said, find out if your avoidant, your person's actions are aligning with their words. A lot of times that will help you. It'll snap you right up out of it. And definitely therapy. And if you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, yes, get on your knees in prayer. That too. Everyone have a great day on purpose. You too, Big Seal. I'm about to say Big C. Thank you so much for joining, contributing to the chat. It's glitchy. All right, let me turn this one off and turn this one on. I got two off a TikTok shop, but I remember what you was saying. I don't know why it's doing it. Let me turn this one off. It don't. Oh, there it go. Okay, y'all hear it? That one sounds perfect. Okay, I probably need to do something with this one. Or it could have been going out. Thank you guys for telling me. I appreciate it. I don't know how much you heard, but I got that answer. What answer? What answer, Miss Linda? Welcome in. Thank you so much. And you gray, your heart gray, Miss Ma'am. How you doing? Thank you for coming back. All right. So in closing, we're going to have another conversation, taking a break from social media, keeping grace. Oh, okay. Take all the time you need. Take all the time you need. I appreciate you for stepping in, and I hope to see you soon. Oh, you said you got the answer. All right, Miss Linda, and you can come on up. You can come on up. You gotta grab your daily heartbeat so TikTok will let you up. What else I was saying? So, right quick, Miss Linda, want to say something, and then we can go ahead and close this out. It's almost time, but stay tuned, you guys. Okay, so the next episode we're going to talk about something that is very most controversial attachment style, and that is, thank you, Miss Linda, that is the avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment Are they emotionally unavailable or emotionally overwhelmed? And I think that we seen a little bit of that today. Um, when it comes to, I'm trying to grab you, Miss Linda, because TikTok didn't. I guess they must be saying that. He said, "Yeah." I guess they let me invite you up. But yeah, that's going to be the next episode. We're going to talk about the avoidant attachment. Are they emotionally unavailable or emotionally overwhelmed? So definitely you want to follow this series. This is going to be all week. We're going to talk about attachment styles and you don't want to miss the debate. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be one because we're probably going to have a lot of avoidant attachment styles that come in here. All right. And if you want to be present for that and come up on a panel, definitely come join us. Yes, Miss Linda, welcome in, my love. How are you?
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. All the way from Washington. Lord be with me.
All
Uh,
right. Good
I,
morning.
I want to answer this sexy prop you got up here. Say love is hard or love is scary. I'm going to say neither.
Well, it says anxious attachment, loving hard or loving scared. And the question is this deep love or a fear of abandonment? Anxious
I think
attachment.
people got a fear of abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe. Because at the end of the day, you have to realize in life you can't, you can't live your life in fear. That's one thing. You have to take a risk. And if we don't start taking risks with love or educate ourselves in love, we will always go feel abandonment, even if we got love right there in front of our face. And
Mm-hmm.
people don't even realize that. But you can't live your life so much, stressed out if this person gonna love me or this person gonna leave me. No, because if that person gonna be with you, it's like you gonna be with you through thick and thin. People,
Yeah.
let me tell you, your kids leaving when they get older. They abandon you. You don't feel stressed out. You don't feel fear because
And now, Miss Linda, some do. I told you, well, you don't know this. I have an anxious attachment style. And my son, he went to the Navy. And when I say I was on my bed crying, he was in there for 3 months. He was in there for 3 months, I think it was. And when I didn't hear from him, I know he was safe. I know he was in training. He was in basic training and I knew he was safe. But my mind, the narrative in my mind is that my son, he might have an emotional breakdown. Is he okay? Are they treating my son okay? And I know he in the
but
military, right?
you have to make sure when you think like that, you have to turn them into positivity because that's the
Right.
problem with us. We think we get that time when we got too much. I taught people when you got too much of free time, you think too much. Stop it.
And
Stop
it
stressing yourself.
and it's easier said than done for a lot of people that has an anxious attachment because we also learn that it comes from it could be
Trauma
what
from
is
a
it?
young
Trauma from
age.
childhood. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The lack of attention. The past, a lack of emotional or acceptance. Overthinking is definitely a real thing. Yes, Therese, it is.
Yes.
And like for me, it was hard for me not to overthink. But I had, like you said, I had to change my thought process. Right? I had to I had to stop, sit back and retrain my mind, re-gauge everything. And
Right.
that is, it takes being intentional.
and
So as an
and you got to
overthinker,
make sure you elevate yourself also. See, let
right,
me tell you something. You have to transform your mind and you have to elevate it to make sure that you become more than what you think you can be.
right.
And when you do that, you realize you put you do things that are more important. Because see, that's why I tell people, and I tell these people all the time, when you
Mm-hmm.
start thinking like that, start talking to Jesus and let Jesus start getting you out of that mold set. And most people,
Mm-hmm.
I know how people religious and believe and spiritually, but when I'm telling you do that, it takes, because when my first husband passed away, all I thought about what I'm gonna do, how I'm survive. I'm never gonna get married again. Uh, I'm ugly. All these things just ran through my mind. And then when I realized that all these things ran in my mind, I was like, I was feared to be loved. Oh, that person ain't gonna love me the way he loved me. Or this person ain't gonna do this way the way this person do me. So you have to, sometimes we have to sometimes take a walk and take deep breath and say, okay, it's going to be okay. And we got to keep reminding ourselves daily on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is so true. Thank you so much, Miss Linda. Listen, and if you can come back tomorrow, I mean, I know you got to go to work. Thank you, Dr. Andrew, and hopefully you'll be back tomorrow for this next episode. I know a lot of people got to go to work. It's 10:38, and I don't want to hold you guys up, but absolutely come back tomorrow. We're going to have a conversation about the avoidant attachment. We're going to get to it. And as I said, stay to the end of this episode because there is a light at the end of the tunnel and we're going to get to that. But we're going to go through these stages first and open up a lot of people's minds and help them understand like, hey, if this is you, it's a way around it. It's a way to get through it. And it takes a lot of communication, a lot of patience, a lot of grace. And you must have a lot of patience and grace with yourself to make it through it. Okay. So with that being said, my closing line is anxious attachment doesn't ask for too much. So if you're an anxious attachment, you're not asking for too much. You're just asking for consistency. And avoidance, because they are an avoidant, they don't know how to offer that consistency. Okay. So when you are getting with someone and if you are aware that you are an anxious attachment, you have an anxious attachment style, you may be open and honest with your partner. You meet somebody, be open and honest. Okay. And in you being open and honest, you allow them to decide if, hey, this is what I want to do, if I can handle it or not. And when I say open and honest, I don't mean, yeah, I'm anxious a little bit. No, be honest. Give examples and ask them, hey, can you handle this? And a lot of times, a secure person, it wouldn't affect, I don't think it would affect them so much. I can't say that because I never met really a secure person. But yeah, anywho, with that being said, I got to go because it is time to take a break. I love you all. Thank you all for joining. Don't jump off the panel, you guys. I appreciate everybody's comments. And do anybody have anything to say? Any last final words? Shy, Sin, Savvy, Linda.
I
Welcome
just
in, Chosen.
real quick, Miss Linda, your voice blessed my heart. It just sounds like my Aunt Juanita, who passed away. So when I heard you talk, I was like, oh my God, I love her. So thanks for talking
Thank you,
today.
Black Butterfly.
And all I wanted to say is get ready for tomorrow, the avoidance, because they are a piece of work. And there's a lot of layers to them. And just be ready for that one.
Yeah, and I don't want, and listen, avoidance state, one of the things, as Dr. Patton said, is that it's difficult for them to take accountability because I think
Yes.
that they lean on their trauma as a crutch, is become
Right.
their crutch. So with that being said, you may even hear, I went through this, I've been through that. We've all been through something. But accountability is something that is hard for some avoidance. I'm gonna say some avoidance to handle. Now, Crimson, that was here yesterday. When I say that he was taking accountability yesterday, but I think he got overstimulated and he had to leave the panel, which is fine. And I hope that he comes back and maybe can give some insight on the life or what it looks like as an avoidant and how him and his partner is making it through because his partner is anxious attachment. So our attention seek at times or a reason for us to heal. Okay, Chosen, I don't know if that's a typo. Can you come up right quick and give a final word, Chosen? Are you available to do that? Because I'm not understanding the text.
And I have something to say too.
Mm-hmm. Let
I
me
want
see
to
if
say
Chosen
this
can come
to
up.
everyone. Tomorrow when you come in here, come with an open mind.
Yes.
Come, and then before you even come here, won't you pray before you come here so you
That
get a
too.
clear understanding and ask God to guide you and make you see what people see, because everybody opinion is different. It may not come out the way you want to, you might not understand it the way you want to, but comprehending is something that you can learn and you can see. So remember that. So when she any anytime someone do any kind of most important things like this and y'all see it, pray before y'all go in there, and when you see it, make sure y'all understand, because sometimes we are learning from each other. See, this world is we learn from each other. It's like we learn each other cultures. So tomorrow when you come in, come with an open mind. Don't jump the gun. Think before you speak,
The pew
and
pew.
don't react and say, oh, this is terrible. Just take a deep breath and listen, because it's something in there going, that message somewhere, or somebody is going to give you that message that you are going to accept, and you're going to like, and you're going to understand, and you go comprehend, and you go add to your daily life. And I land. That's what they say. I land.
Miss Linda, thank you so much. You know, and you've been here before, and you were just such a blessing, a joy. She made us all laugh. I think we were talking about marriages that episode, but it's so good to see you. Thank you for even saying that. Took the words right out of my mouth. I don't even have to repeat it. Having these type of conversations, yes, it does take an open mind. And a lot of times it's not to argue, it's not to debate, it's not to go back and forth. It's just sharing, a little bit of our experiences, our wisdom, based off of our experiences. And hopefully you can take the meat and learn from it. It'll help you in the long run within your own households, relationships with your kids, your boss, your spouse, your friendships or whatever. Yeah, any type of ship you're in, it can help you. Okay. Chosen, welcome in. Thank you so much. And Chosen is going to be the last person to go. You were saying something in the comments, Chosen.
Yeah, I was what I was saying wasn't based on the topic that you have up at the top there. I was just responding you were saying at the last bit, in terms of how we let go of certain pain and so on, as you were saying. And sometimes it's not that persons don't want to let go of their pain, but sometimes the pain can be used, or the trauma rather can be used, to just try to create a place that you can feel as if you have the ability to just be verbal about it. Try
Okay.
to, yes, try to get some of what you have bottled up for so long inside out. And sometimes when we let it out and we see other people's reaction, especially when we get the sympathy, sometimes what happens that we tend to go from there more often. And it's not because we're trying to seek attention from somebody else, but for us it's an attention seat in a good way for the person who has been through a dark moment, has been living in an era where you don't have, it's like you don't have emotional peace, you don't have that contentment in your mind, because you
Mm-hmm.
felt as if you went through something that nobody heard about. And when you get a chance to say it and get a place and a space that is safe and you feel like you can talk, you're gonna talk about it. So sometimes it may come off to someone as if you're okay, get over it. Why can't you finish? Why can't she finish, or why can't he finish? And it's just that sometimes we have to learn to give people grace.
Right. That happened earlier. Earlier, Chosen Avoidant was in the room, and we had another panelist. And some people just can't grasp that people have experienced trauma, and we've learned yesterday that there's a such thing as a big T and a little T trauma.
Yeah.
You know, and some people, they're still trying to heal from that, and it takes a lot of work.
Okay, okay, that's
And I
fine.
do agree that at times you do have attention seekers. I think that's what you're trying to say. At times you do have attention
Yes,
seekers, and they lean on that, and they use it
Eileen.
as a excuse not to heal. And then you have
Yes,
some who is still seeking attention, but them talking about it is the next
yes,
step to healing. It's adding
yes,
to
exactly. That's what
the
I'm trying to bring
puzzle.
across.
Yeah, I
Yes,
got you. I got you. Yeah, I appreciate you. You just
yeah,
have to use discernment once again, and it's the
yeah,
same thing in our relationships. That
yeah,
using the discernment with Shy and Pastor Pat was saying,
yeah,
and you know, it's very important. And if a person's words is not aligning with their actions, you
yeah,
know, sometimes you just gotta to cut it off, and it's
yeah, and
okay.
yeah, that's true. And then sometimes, though, before you go, Miss Carol, sometimes some of us, we ourselves, we don't want to talk about what we're going through, and somebody else talk about what they're going through, and it's similar to our story. We want to shut them up because it reminds us of something that we're not ready to let go, or we have not even opened up that can of worm,
Yep.
and sometimes we just want to say, oh, shut up, shut down now, shut that one down now, because it's
Mm-hmm.
reminding us, it's taking us back to a familiar place that we have not come to accountability, or even look at it in such a way that we can heal from what we went through. We are still hoarding it, we are hiding it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we see people come out at other people, we don't even know the core reason for it. And sometimes it's absolutely so deep, you would never imagine how deep some things can be, and some things that can be said and stir up some old
Right.
wounds in some people. But I
Yeah.
do believe that we could give people a little bit of grace, because we don't know how talking sometimes releases the burden, and it does for some people.
And it does. And as I specified before, I want people to know that this is a safe space. You might get a time or two where a person may seem a little
Yeah.
unsympathetic to your experiences, or maybe you know how a person look at you and twist their lips like, you might get that a time or two, but understand that that's
Yeah.
because that person does not understand. It's not you that they're attacking or
Yeah.
questioning. You know, it's just their
Yeah.
own that open mindedness that Ms. Linda brought up. That some people are
Yes.
just not open to it. But it was crazy to me is that a lot of people out there, they want to be understanding, but it's hard for them to understand other folk. But that's
Yes.
another topic for a different day. Got to give each other some grace. And it's all just
Yeah.
learning. That's what it is. It's a reflection of them and
Yeah.
their
I
reaction.
missed you last
Oh,
night.
Sha, come on now.
I
What you
said to
say?
myself, I said I missed you last night, because I was saying to myself, maybe you're a bit busy, and I don't expect for you to be there
Oh,
all the
yeah.
time, but I did miss your presence, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, I
Because
was
I
at
literally had
work.
no one there. I had no one there, really.
Hmm.
No one. And then I just gathered myself together, and
Right,
I took a
right.
deep breath.
I know
And
the
I said, all
feeling.
right, there's going to be times like this.
I had that same thought. My numbers dropped so bad, and I had that same thought, like,
Yes.
where everybody go? And it's going to be times like that, but you know, you got to keep going, and that's for everybody. And that's the
Yeah.
same thing in life. Period. It's going to be times where you feel alone, you guys, but you got to keep going. It can turn around just like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
It did turn around just like that. It did turn around just like that,
good.
because, after that, we went almost up to 50. So,
Yeah, well, I do want to say, you guys, if anybody is in
yeah.
here, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, Chosen, I sit in her lives. She has awesome lives. She preaches the word of God. Um,
Yes.
and she just has so much information, so wise and prophetic. So if you want to follow Chosen, you can follow her now, or anybody on this panel. If you wish to follow them, she is a licensed therapist. I've seen a little bit of her content. I would like to see more.
Yeah.
Shy, I would like to see more. But yes, thank you all for joining. I appreciate you. You said she's a prayer warrior. Yes, chosen as a prayer warrior. I said in her live. So if you wish to follow her, yes, please do so now before she has to go. And again, thank you all. Thank you for helping elevate the live and supporting me. I cannot be
Oh yeah, shy. I
my heart
just
is
saw
so
that.
warm. Yeah, there she go. Yeah. My heart is so warm for it, from it. And I hope to see you all tomorrow.
All
And
right,
just
amen.
brace yourselves. It's not bad. It's not like, I don't even think, I don't want to use the narcissistic word, but avoidance, they're not all narcissistic. Let me just say that. But accountability is definitely difficult for them. And I do like to think of avoidance. They're human too. And they have experiences too. And they deserve love too. And I think a lot of them don't understand that or know that. And that's why it's hard for them. So, grace, okay? And thank you. I'm going to drop you all off the panel. I'm let you down. The Lord is in control. Remember that. That's right, Miss Linda. God is still God. Chosen was preaching that the
Amen.
other week. Yep. All right.
Yep.
So, take
And man
care.
will always be man, and God will always be God.
There you go. Thank you so much. All right.
All
I'm going to
right,
let you
then.
all down. Y'all have a great day. Stay blessed. Okay. Don't let anybody ruin your day. It's Wednesday. Happy hump day. We're almost to the end of the week. To God be the glory for that. All right. And I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, take care. Thank you, Zen. Thank you for the mods that came in to help facilitate some of the comments and things like that. And yeah, thank you for the elevation. God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. That's true, Sarah. It's good seeing you, my girl, and I enjoy watching your your content yesterday. But yeah. All right. See you, everyone. Thank you, Savvy. I appreciate you, sir. Salute to everybody. Yes. Thank you so much. All right.